Oh yeah, just point out that, I mean, because almost all Muslims don't get this, right? They believe that all prophets were either sinless or free, at least free of any sort of major sin. But your average Muslim believes that Muhammad was sinless. And is this true according to the Muslim sources?
Nope. Let me give the Quranic verses. I'll just mention them and then we'll look at a few. But I want everyone to write these down. Write down these verses where Muhammad is repeatedly told to ask forgiveness for sins or rebuke for sins that he committed. First reference I want them to write down is chapter 4, verses 106 to 107. We'll look at some of them a little later. Just write these down for now. 4, 106 to 107 of the Quran. Chapter 9, verse 43 of the Quran. Chapter 9, verse 43. Write that down. Chapter 40, verse 55. 40, 55. Chapter 47, verse 19. I'm not trying to go too fast, too slow, because we have a lot of material to cover. 47, verse 19. Chapter 48, verses 1 to 2. 48, verses 1 to 2. Chapter 110 of the Quran, verses 1 to 3. Here, those verses, either Allah rebukes Muhammad and tells him, Allah forgive you, or ask forgiveness for a mistake you did. There are other passages where Allah actually even threatens to kill Muhammad if he does something stupid or foolish. For example, chapter 17 of the Quran, verses 73 to 75, 17, 73 to 75, there clearly Allah said that had we not helped you, you would have been enticed to fall after the inclinations of the idolaters, and then we would have punished you, and no one could save you from us. And that echoes the threat of 69, chapter 69, verses 44, 47, right, Dave, with the aorta? That if Muhammad made up a saying or a chapter and attributed to God, that God would cut off his aorta, and that's exactly how he died. So even Muhammad's death shows he died the death of a cursed blasphemer who came under the judgment and wrath of Allah. So the Quran is filled with examples where Muhammad is threatened, he's warned, he's commanded to repent, and he's told that Allah has forgiven him his past and future sins. Now let me just mention one hadith that's found in all the major collections of the hadith. This hadith has to do with the day of resurrection. If you want proof that Muhammad did not think that the prophets were sinless and immune from major sins, there's a hadith where Muhammad says on the day of resurrection, this is found in Bukhari and Muslim, all the major collections. It says that on the day of resurrection, the Muslims will be afraid to approach Allah because Allah is quite angry. So Muhammad says they go to Adam. Adam remembers his sin and he says, I am not up to that task. So basically says, nafsi, nafsi, my soul, my soul. And then he points them to Noah. So when they go to Noah, it remembers his sin, which the Quran says that he pleaded that Allah would save his son from drowning. Because a lot of people don't know, according to the Quran, not all the sons of Noah were saved. One of his sons drowned because he was rebellious. And so Noah will remember that sin and he'll tell them, and I'm not up for the task. Go to Abraham. Abraham will remember his sin. I'm not up to the task. Go to Moses. They come to Moses and Moses says, well, I'm not up for the task because I murdered someone. This is in the hadith. Muhammad is ascribing sins to every one of them. Then Moses is reported to say, go to Isa, Jesus, the word of Allah, which he gave to Mary, and his spirit. Now the hadiths say quite specifically, Jesus will mention no sin. It says that. Jesus will mention no sin, but for some strange reason, Jesus says, I'm not worthy for that task. And then Muhammad has Jesus saying, go to Muhammad, whose past and future sins have been forgiven. Did you guys catch that? Everyone has sinned except Jesus. But here's where I'm baffled, Dave. Maybe you can understand this. If Jesus is the only sinless one in the group, and all the other prophets were disqualified because of their sin, how then was Muhammad more qualified when the hadith acknowledges Muhammad's sins needed to be forgiven and Jesus was sinless? Can someone help me understand that logic? I don't see it.